Probably know more about
Thank you all for getting settled in. We're going to open up the meeting at 1:30 meeting. And first, we're with call to order, we're going to have an invocation. And I do not believe that the pastor has made it. So I'm going to ask Mr. Epps if you would come up and do the invocation. Mr. Epps.
Let's bow, please. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to meet here today as free people. We ask, Lord, for your guidance, direction, and wisdom. We ask, Lord, and we're reminded in the Old Testament, 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and heal their land. Lord, we ask for your healing today of this COVID that seems to continue to go through our country. We ask, Lord, for your divine intervention on behalf of this nation and this state and this county. We ask, Lord, for wisdom for those on the dais today to do your work. We thank you, Lord, for those who are willing to participate in county government and see that your work is done. We thank you, Lord, for your many blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. John, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Absolutely. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wonderful. Thank you very much, both John and Don. We appreciate that very much. This afternoon, we're going to start with proclamations. And the first one is Commissioner Herr will read the proclamation recognizing Seminole State's College women's golf team as the 2021 national champions.
So I'm going to start this off a little bit differently. Go State! Go far! Woo!
You would try it again. Some people missed it.
Okay. All right, ready? I'm going on 3. Go State!
Go far!
All right, that's much better, much better. You can tell which one of us might have a little teacher in her. This is a resolution of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners recognizing the Seminole State women's golf team as the 2021 NJCAA National Champions. Whereas the Raider Athletics Department of Seminole State College was established in 1965, and whereas Seminole State sponsors 5 sports, all competing in the NJCAA division, and whereas Seminole State women's golf has finished in the top 3 in the nation every year since 2009, and whereas coached by Chris Tatino, Seminole State women's golf team won their 3rd NJCAA National Championship in program history on May 16, 2021. And whereas the Seminole State women's golf team members are Grace Armando, Grace Connolly, Alex Giles, Renita Inpan, Minami Kudo, Mary Ma, Minari Nagano, and Alexandra Stevenson. And whereas all 4 graduating sophomores earned athletic scholarships to NCAA universities, and whereas 4 team members, Minari Nagano, Alex Giles, Namani Kudo, and Alexandra Stevenson, earned All-American status. And whereas freshman Minari Nagano qualified for the U.S. Women's Open and was named Florida College System Activities Association Female Athlete of the Year. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners does hereby recognize the Seminole State Women's Golf Team as the 2021 NJCAA National Champions. Be it further resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Seminole County, Florida, that this resolution be spread upon the official minutes by the Clerk of the Circuit Court in and for County of Seminole, adopted this 14th day of September 2021.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lockhart. Is there any discussion, debate? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Would you all please come up? We would love to have a photo with all of you. Thank you. See this little mark here? Make this the
Congratulations.
Congratulations. We'll get them back, okay? Congratulations.
Yeah, step right up here toward this place, and then we'll stand behind you.
Tall in the back, little in the front.
Thank you for calling me.
Good, I qualified for
Where's
that.
our team captain?
Okay, good.
Team captain?
Everyone.
Everyone, all right. There you go.
Bob, why don't you come on up? You're one of the trustees.
Do one, you guys first.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Get on this side, guys. Get on this side so we can balance it out. Congratulations.
Hello, everyone. I'm the coach of the Seminole State Women's Golf Team. Thank you so much for recognizing our kids, our student athletes. Today, I'm going to tell you they work really, really hard, and they not just do it on the golf course, but in the classroom as well. This is a pretty exciting season coming up. I don't know if you all know, but Seminole State and Seminole County are hosting the national championship this year in May 2022. And we'd like to get your enthusiasm and support. May 12th through the 16th, I believe. And I'm looking forward to a repeat. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Coach, where's it going to be held next year? Okay.
Oh, great.
congratulations again, and it's wonderful to have you all here. Ladies, congratulations. That's
Chairman.
Quite an honor. Yes.
I want to
Commissioner.
recognize Kurt Esser as well, who's the athletic director for Seminole State. We appreciate everything you do. And I just want to give you a little personal story from the community. I was on Lake Mary Boulevard this year, and I'm positive that I was riding next to the bus of the ladies that you beat. And it was all I could do not to roll down the window and hold up my sign. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Fantastic.
All right, we're now going to move into the next proclamation, and Commissioner Lockhart will be reading the proclamation, making this month, September 15th through October 15th, as Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yes.
Commissioner?
Thank you. Commissioners, I'd like to move the following proclamation. Whereas in June 1968, California Congressman George E. Brown first introduced Hispanic Heritage Week to commemorate the contributions of Hispanic and Latino Americans. And whereas in 1987, Senator Paul Simon submitted a bill proposing the expansion of the week-long observance to an entire month, and President Ronald Reagan later signed that bill into law on August 17, 1988. And whereas Hispanic National Heritage Month begins on September 15th because it coincides with the National Independence Days for many Latin American countries, including Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. Mexico and Chile celebrate their independence on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. And whereas during Hispanic Heritage Month, our county celebrates and recognizes the rich economic, political, social, and cultural influences of Hispanics in the United States. And whereas the Hispanic community makes up a significant portion of the labor force, working as elected officials, small business owners, entrepreneurs, and homemakers who provide leadership, guidance, and support of the values which strengthen our economy and provide for the well-being of our families. And whereas the Hispanic community in Seminole County includes unique leaders and exceptional role models in all professions who have distinguished themselves by creating jobs and paying wages, demonstrating that they are a positive force in our local communities and neighborhoods. And whereas the theme for 2021 National Hispanic Heritage Month is Esperanza, a celebration of Hispanic heritage and hope. And whereas the theme inspires us to reflect on how great tomorrow can be if we hold on to resilience and hope, encourages us to reflect on all of the contributions Hispanics have made and will continue to make, and reminds us that we are stronger together. Whereas Seminole County is proud to honor the contributions of Hispanic Americans in our county, state, and throughout our nation. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Seminole County Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim September 15th to October 15th, 2021 as National Hispanic Heritage Month in Seminole County, and encourages all residents to join in celebrating the importance of Hispanic Americans in our history. Adopted this 14th day of September 2021.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
And, yep. And, Mr. Chairman, we have from the Hispanic Chamber several members this morning, or this afternoon. We normally do this in the morning, including Gabby Ortegano. I even wrote it down. Got it. Fabulous. If you'd like to come up and accept this, and anybody else that you'd like to come and accept this proclamation.
Wow.
What is it?
We got coffee and pastries.
Nice.
Perfect. Mr.
He'll
Winnie?
walk out of here with that bag if you guys.
Esteemed commissioners, thank you very much.
I'm leaving it there for the.
There's one, it's from Zaza Cuban Diner in Lake Mary, and we're opening one in Oviedo very soon. It's the best coffee in town and the best pastelitos. You'll enjoy them. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bob, for this honor. My name is John Diarmas. I'm the chairman of the board for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with Gabby Ortioni and an illustrious team of Hispanics who work very hard to make Seminole County and Orange County the place to be. We help it grow, we help it prosper. So thank you so much. Appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I could also, I'd like to officially recognize Bob Cortez. He's always wearing many hats in our community and helping to organize things like this recognition this morning. And so Bob, some of you will remember, was a state house member, a representative of this community for many years. He works for the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. He's also a fellow trustee with me at Seminole State College, and of course is a wonderful leader in the Hispanic community. So thank you so much, Bob, for helping keep us all together.
Thank you very much. And Bob, yeah, that was well-deserved. Congratulations to everybody. Next item is something that's near and dear to all of us, because the Seminole County, as we all know, was the first in the state to do this. And so we have the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission report on the update for the bear management ordinance. And Mike Orlando. Mike, it's good to see you today.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. It's been a long time. I think we had to push this back. Usually we do this in like May, but for lots of reasons, we're at least getting to it, so that's excellent. We'll try to get back on track maybe next year. So this is our annual bear management update per the ordinance. When you guys passed the ordinance, we agreed to do this every single year, and sometimes there's a lot to talk about. Sometimes there's, it's just an update. So we'll see how this one goes. Mostly this is just going to be an update. So what we categorize as our northeast region is 11 counties. So this is FWC's, how we break up our agency. It's the northeast region. Seminole County actually falls within that region. And if you could see just sort of an overall big picture, general sightings is most of what we have going on. So people just seeing bears cross the street or up trees or that sort of thing. That takes up most of the calls that come in. But in garbage is the second most, and that hasn't changed in probably the last 20 years, and this is how we sort of approach our management. What you can see, though, in the first chart there is that the calls have been dropping off overall. We sort of plateaued a little bit in the last couple of years, but we're certainly in a way better shape, and most of that is because of the ordinances, certainly that Seminole County spearheaded, and then Orange County and Lake County adopted as well. And we actually think that we're going in a really good direction. And again, we can't thank Seminole County enough for being the first out of the gate and sort of the leaders. And again, I always say that I use this county as my example when I'm talking to other counties on how to get an ordinance adopted and that sort of thing. And Collier County actually did that last year, and we're already starting to see some really good results there. So if you look at sort of the entire county, this is the last couple of years from 2018 to 2020. Lots of calls sort of distributed all around. In the green part is the first ordinance zone, and then we have another ordinance zone now in Oviedo that's only about a year old. You can see that bears are moving in between those two populations. We're starting to get bears coming in from the east part, and of course we have bears coming in from the Wakaiwa Basin. So this kind of gives you a bigger overall picture. And then just for the last year, 2020, you can see that most of the calls are still coming in from the east and west, and there's quite a bit of movement in between just in the last year. Now, we did start the ordinance in Oviedo last year, and it looks like it's actually doing okay. For now, we'll talk about that in just a second, but sort of overall, the entire big picture. I think, can you guys see the numbers underneath of your pictures on your screen? Okay. So a couple of the things that I wanted to talk about is the general interactions over time have gone down or stayed relatively steady since the ordinance has been in effect, which is excellent. We really want to see that sort of going down or staying steady. One of the things was brought up about sick, injured bears. There's 62. I left that in there. There was a question about that. Actually, that is just how many calls we got about injured bears in those areas. In fact, we only had 3 bears hit by cars and killed on the roads last year. 1 was unknown, we don't know how it died, and then 2 were actually euthanized by us because they were hit by cars. So total 6, which is actually really good overall compared to other parts of the state. So that's a really good point. One of the things I really want to have you focus on is the in structure. I have it highlighted, it's only 10. These are what we call core complaints. So if a bear knocks over somebody's garbage can, our policy is we educate the residents. You have to, either get a bear-resistant garbage can, keep your garbage secured somehow, and we don't actually treat that with trapping or anything else. It's mostly education and outreach. Things like a bear breaking into a house, we actually will bring out a trap and we'll try to attempt to catch that bear because we consider that a public safety threat. So the fact that there was only 10 is amazing. That is really, really good number. And then the bears that we actually had to put down for a public safety threat is really low as well. So that's good news. We're on a good track as far as overall the management of bears in Seminole County. So getting over to the Oviedo side, we don't have a whole lot of information. First thing to point out is there's not a lot of calls coming in to begin with, which is excellent. We're going to try to keep that low, at least stabilize or lower to down to nothing. But 1 year doesn't tell us much. We can see a change since 2016 when you all passed the ordinance on the west side because we've had so many years now to see that drop. In fact, Seminole County used to be the #1 county in the state to having the most bear conflicts throughout the state. And we want to be #1 in a lot of things, but that's not the thing we want to be, right? And now you guys are #6. Which is excellent. So, there's never going to be a time when Seminole County doesn't have bears and people having some sort of conflict. But if we could keep those core complaints low and have folks do the right thing about keeping up their garbage and not feeding bears, staying somewhere down to #6, excellent. We really want you guys to stay low. Okaloosa and Santa Rosa County have now flip-flopped the #1 and #2 counties, and it's unfortunate, but you guys are doing a great job. So some of the ongoing issues that we've been seeing, just sort of throwing it out there, is we have a few businesses, small businesses and some others that aren't really following the rules. They're not following the ordinance, and we have our law enforcement working on those cases. So it's not like they're being ignored. It's just we're spending a lot of resources trying to get them to come into compliance, not only with your ordinance, but also the Florida Administrative Code. We're working on that, and I have had some discussions with the county about maybe using some ordinances. You guys pressing some of that as well from your side, which would be helpful. One of the other things that we've noticed over the last year has been a delay in garbage pickup or trash removal, simply because of the off times that the waste management trucks have been running and the lack of personnel. Not necessarily something we can we can fix right away until, we get COVID under control. It's just something we have to live with, but for the most part, that's what we've been hearing from the field, is that there's been some delay in removal of trash and that sort of thing. I think people are figuring out how to work around it, so that's good news. The other thing, and this is really the one that I kind of want to focus on a little bit, is there seems to be a lack of availability of bear-resistant garbage cans for replacement or new purchases. And so if we can work together to try, I know that there's some NGOs out there that are trying to do something, and I have had some conversation with some county members talking about maybe there's some way that they can, you guys can actually offer up bear-resistant garbage cans in a way, and we're open to any suggestions from either the private sector, public sector, it doesn't matter. We just want to get bear-resistant garbage cans to the houses that want to purchase them. Let's see. Yeah, so overall, we're having quite a bit of garbage. This is what it looks like when we show up and we have an issue. Bear-resistant, or a garbage can is open, and then we'll have what we call trash trails running all through the woods, and sometimes that could get pretty elaborate how much stuff is out there in the forest. And that, of course, requires cleanup as well. So one of the really positive things that has actually happened in the last couple of years is we have it's called SIAFWA. It's the Southeastern Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies, and it's really all of the southeastern states. So Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, they have all joined forces to push what we call Bearwise, and you guys have heard that quite a bit. But other states haven't. If Florida has actually been leading the way, North Carolina is right there with us, but Florida's been leading the way on pushing Bearwise ordinances. Of course, at the top of the list is Seminole County when we talk about these things. So as all of these states start adopting these Bearwise approaches, you see, this list of things: never approach bears, never leave pet food outside, remove bird feeders when bears are active. There's a bunch of rules that these communities have to follow. Then they can actually get a designation of Bearwise. And currently, Wingfield North is our number one, for this area. Wingfield Reserve has been recognized too, and we are going to be presenting them with a bigger sort of certificate and recognition. Sorry, you know what I'm saying. We're going to recognize them as Bearwise communities, and we're competing with North Carolina because they're actually right up there as well. They're trying to get Asheville, a whole bunch of Bearwise communities. So while we have more Bearwise communities in Seminole County and the surrounding areas, we're really trying to push this out and make Florida and Seminole County and the other counties around us recognizable for the southeastern states. And this may actually become much bigger to what we call AFWA, which is the association, all 50 states. So that would be really, really great if we get nationally recognized as Bearwise communities. And that's my update.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It is, it truly is rewarding, I think, for all of us here in Seminole County, that this program not only has been such a success, but has also inspired other communities throughout Florida and the nation to do the same. And so I just have to tell you, Mike, it's always a privilege to have this update, because it seems that the news is getting better and better.
It is.
We, if I'm not mistaken, we have had not one negative human-bear conflict in the last 12 months. Is that?
Not in the last 12 months. No, we did have a person scratched on the foot more than 12 months ago, almost 2 years ago now, but you're absolutely right. And that was a female with cubs, an unpredictable, and a dog involved. Unpredictable situation, did not involve trash at all. So we live in Florida, it's a wild place, but no, as far as trash and attractants are concerned, we have not had any major issues.
Compared to 14 and 15 when we were getting,
oh yeah,
a mauling, once every month.
Yeah, we had 3 in a year. It was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. Thank you. Please stay. I have some public do you want to go at the public, and then we'll do our thing? Is that good? Or
I just
would
have
you
a
rather-
quick question.
Please, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and do that, and then we can also open it up again. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I've noticed a lot of activity on community social media pages about bear activity. And I wonder what we can do to help encourage people to actually engage with you and your organization, because posting it on Facebook doesn't mean that
Right.
you are now aware. I know everybody loves different Facebook groups, and, you know, there's a lot of fervor, but it doesn't necessarily generate anything positive. So how do we help get people to actually do something that's positive and get them into your direction as opposed to just being a keyboard warrior?
Yeah, I think that that's a challenge that we're having throughout the state. We've actually been noticing that since the invention of Ring doorbells, people actually realize that there are more bears around than they used to know because they get an alert at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that bear probably crossed 2 o'clock in the morning every single year for the last 10 years, but now all of a sudden they know about it. And then that gets posted to that Ring doorbell community, and not a lot of times that doesn't get sent to us as well. So between, you know, all these sort of social media things don't always get passed along. You know, we just actually sent out our Bears in the Fall news release. It was just this morning. I think I was going to mention if you wanted to link that to your website to get that information out, that would be a really good idea. We're constantly doing education and outreach to try to put that message there, that it's really best if somebody on Facebook is noticing that something's going on in the community, letting us know about it, even if it's not that serious, letting us know about it is important, because we could get out there and do some canvassing, we could do some education outreach, and then if we notice in one community that it's 5, 6 things, we link those together, then we can stop something from progressing, right? So if a bear gets into somebody's screen enclosure, we may go send a site visit. We notice, oh, there's bird seed or cat food on the back. We'll just say, look, you can't leave this stuff on the back, porch. And if the bear does it again 2 or 3 more times, we have the option maybe to come out and catch and relocate that bear instead of we don't know about it, and then it breaks into somebody's house, and then we don't have any options. Then we have to catch and kill that bear. So reporting even minor things to FWC is important, so we can sort of pay attention to the big picture. So I just encourage people, like you said, if you're on Facebook and you're noticing an uptick, or the neighborhood apps or Ring doorbell apps, if you're noticing a lot of increased activity, letting us know about it is the best case scenario, so we can stop anything from progressing.
Fabulous, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Commissioner Delory.
Thank you, Mike. Couple things. I think it's a great question. We should be able to put some type of PSA on our website.
Yes.
Or our own social media.
Yeah, for our own social media.
Yeah, so we have like I said, the best thing right now, it actually just got released this morning, is our update. Our fall Bears Are Active in the Fall update, and it's got a couple of videos associated with it and that sort of thing.
Can you
So
send that to our staff, please?
yes, I've actually already sent it to Melanie.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Then the next thing I have is, you did mention that there's a couple of communities that are getting Bearwise attention or
Yeah, recognition. That's the word I was looking for.
Is there any way we can get that for the entire county?
That's a really good question. I think that when it comes to our agency, we certainly recognize when it comes to the overall county recognition from, let's say, SIAFWA or the Bearwise, I don't think it's been done. I can start
That
making...
doesn't mean it can't be done.
It doesn't mean it can't be done, and I would certainly be pushing that pretty hard. I can start making phone calls about that right away and see if we can make it happen. And, Seminole County certainly would deserve to be the first one, for sure.
Then the next question I have is, you talked about bear cans. How can we help with that?
Well, so the issue that we're having is sort of just a lack of availability. So when we had the programs where we were supplying funding, there was some money, a pool of money that you were able to buy cans and then get reimbursed for half the can, and it was a great program. Now that that has dried up, we don't have those money anymore. you know, really, if somebody just wanted to come and buy one can, it would be great if there was a way that they could just go and get one can for full price. I know there's a lot of people out there who are willing to pay the full price for a can, but if you wanted to go through Toter to get it, you'd have to buy like 25, a whole truckload, plus shipping and all that. And, you know, I mean, we're talking quite a bit of money. So having the general public organize that sort of thing is complicated. Like I said, I know that there are some community groups, NGOs that are working on sort of moving that direction, but if the county was able to do something along those lines, that would help out as well.
Commissioner Hurd?
So a little bit aside from this, but on this topic, there was a cub that was killed, traffic accident recently. That's
Last Thursday.
in my district, and we have asked John, through your department, for a study related to the variability of speed limit on Markham Woods Road. It creates a whole lot of dynamic there, and I would just ask that we give every level of urgency to that, not only related to the bears, but important for the bears, but it's important for the humans as well. So just know that we have my support with regard to that.
Oh, that's excellent. We're always in support of trying to reduce collisions, you know, with bears, for sure.
May I, Mr. Chairman, follow up?
Certainly.
So Mike, you may not be aware of this, but in the Keys, they actually reduce the speed limit at night due to the deer.
For key deer. Oh, yeah.
Deer, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very familiar, actually. I spend Bahia, Honda, Big Pine every year with my family, 2 weeks. So.
Sounds miserable.
I know, it's horrible. There are no bears in the Keys, which is why that's where I go every single year.
The point I'm bringing up, that may be something that we could do here.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that would be great. And, you know, we have a DOT liaison in our agency, and so I could certainly hook you guys up with Christy Booth is her name, and she could probably help out with any of those talks.
Yeah, I think that Markham Woods Road is Bear Central around here. But thank you very much, Mike. We do have some public comment, so I'm going to go to that. Please stay close,
Sure.
if you would.
Yep.
In case we have any further questions and comments. Ms. Katrina Shaddix. Ms. Howler, you are next, and Ms. Harmon, you are third.
Katrina Shaddix, Executive Director, Bear Warriors United, 1133 Covington Street, Oviedo, Florida, 32765. So thanks to Mike Orlando and the FWC for the presentation and for having to deal with the fallout and consequences of this county's overdevelopment problem, which destroys the wildlife habitat. On a positive note, caring citizens are volunteering and working with me and my organization to help the bears and wildlife suffering from overdevelopment and loss of habitat. I give Bear Talk presentations to schools, homeschool groups, HOAs, and clubs. We've made and distributed over 4,000 bear care packages, which include straps to secure trash cans, bear whistles, and peacefully coexisting with native wildlife educational material. We are working with garden clubs, churches, Girl and Boy Scouts troops to grow and plant healthy natural food sources to restore wildlife habitat. And we're having the first annual Black Bear Romp 5K in the Wekiva Park on October 2nd to raise money for bear-proof trash cans. I actually worked out a deal with Toter to get them for $170 a piece, so people are able to donate money to Bear Warriors, and then we buy in bulk, and we can save money on taxes and on shipping. And we also donate these awesome signs to HOAs, developers, and builders. I don't want to make sure that got on camera, to bring bear awareness to Seminole County residents. And thanks to Joe Humphreys, we had a major developer, I think it was Lennar Homes, call me asking for these signs to put in their new neighborhoods in Lake Mary. So we're making progress. But still, we do have thousands of fingers pointing to sprawl developments and bad growth management practices as the cause of loss of wildlife habitat problems facing the bears. And the problems that we are having to pay to fix. We are giving our time and our money to do all of these programs that I told you about. And it seems like it's a common practice of privatizing developer profits and socializing the cost of developer impacts onto the citizens. Bear Warriors United, 5,000 members and thousands of Seminole County residents feel that developers should have to pay for the negative impacts and have to pay for some of these programs and have to pay for bear-proof trash cans. The cost should not fall on us. We would also appreciate if y'all could, you know, what I heard this morning with land development code and changes, if we could just take into account better growth management with the developers that come up for a zoning rechange. We want to make sure we conserve all the green spaces we can. I think redeveloping existing impervious surfaces with existing infrastructure and a land conservation buying program and wildlife fencing and underpasses are the only sustainable, fair, and environmentally responsible path forward for Seminole. And I don't know if we can get these on camera, but this is a nice little thing. It says, "I'm not crossing the road is crossing my forest." And this was a bear out west and her family that were in threat of being destroyed because so many people were stopping on the road to see them, which is unfair. This is another bear out west. It's pretty sad. This is the mom, and 3 of her babies were recently killed. They were, and I'm going to get a little emotional because it's a pretty sad thing. They were killed because they were eating trash. They were labeled as habituated to humans. This picture was taken of the mother as after she was injected with the drug that kills her, she'd just seen her 3 babies get killed. And as she's fading away, you see there's a tear coming down her eye. And that just happened last week. This past weekend, this bear was hit on one of the roads in Ocala Forest, and a sheriff was called out to shoot the bear, and he didn't kill him right away, so this bear went into the woods and died. You know, he got hit by a car and he got shot. And this bear could be one that was relocated and trying to get back here. That's why we don't want to relocate. And I have a picture of the cub that was hit on Markham Woods, but it's too graphic. But I appreciate what you're doing. We need so much more to help the bears. And sorry if I got emotional, but it was a rough week for the bears. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Katrina. Ms. Haller?
Cindy Holler, 1731 Beacon Drive, Sanford. I'd like to comment on the presentation, some other bear things. I am the lead in my neighborhood. My neighborhood is supportive of bears. I'd ask for 6, probably only need 4.5. Please, thank you. Good presentation, so thanks. I've actually talked to you on the phone before. We talked. So, yeah, I see neighbors post on Nextdoor, Ring, Facebook often. I frequently educate them about FWC. So just commenting on that Commissioner Lockhart brought up. I'm in favor of the FWC update. Obviously, I'm in favor of the bears and people coexisting with the bears. Okay, so I want to preface my comments by saying I am quite aware of Black Bear Wilderness area. As a matter of fact, my community is adjacent to it, pretty much. It is mostly low-lying wetlands. All of it is floodplain. Just FYI, I tell a lot of people this, bears, they're not swamp creatures. So while they may sometimes pass through there, they do not hang out there. They hang out in the surrounding neighborhoods. And that's evidenced by all of the stuff that people post all over social media every day. It is a popular destination for hikers, the black bear. So you'll see, pictures of gators and birds, hogs. People don't post pictures of bears. And in my neighborhood, we see bears, through Sanford Farms frequently, all times a day. So I personally, I have to tell you, I did hear this. Now, my previous commissioner, Brenda Carey, is not here, but she has said before about development that the wildlife have adjusted. So how do they adjust? they become roadkill. I see it every day, squirrels, turtles, snakes. I've seen bears along Orange Boulevard too. I support Katrina and Bear Warriors United. I've had her present to my neighborhood, being bear smart, and my neighbors appreciated it. So I'd like our neighborhood to be one of those recognized neighborhoods too. My request, please, Seminole County, create and invest in a land buying program to purchase and protect in perpetuity high-functioning, real wildlife corridors through the county, connecting with neighboring counties. By the way, to this commission, I've mentioned before about our friends who live in Normandy, France, who we know well, the Perrin family. I wish they were here. They told us, wow, it's really cool. You come over here, you show us all these pictures of bears and gators. We don't have any more big wildlife like that. They've got snails and sheep. So I've been there. I mean, I love France. I love the bread and the wine is fantastic. Unfortunately, the Bears don't vote or make campaign contributions, so I'm glad that I can be here as an advocate for them and others. And I am participating in the Black Bear Womp on Saturday morning, October 2nd. I hope others will, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Ms. Harmon?
Nancy Harmon, 752 Pioneer Way in Geneva, Florida. Here's my joke for you today, Commissioner Ho. We can't train bears.
Nancy, can you talk into the microphone?
Yes, we can't train bears, and we can't hardly train dogs. So, having said that, you know, we do talk about the Black Bear Wilderness Area, and when we think about bears, we don't think about their migrating habits. We just see them, and people in neighborhoods think they live here all the time. But if you think about it, if bears are on the south end of Seminole County and they decide to take their kids on a vacation up to the bear wilderness, and they don't have a lot of money, they don't have enough fat on them to, you know, sustain themselves for that trek, then they stop in people's yards and they eat, which is what creates a lot of the problems. The problems there is that people don't keep their trash cans in the house, or they can't afford trash cans, or they don't have bear straps that are protective, you know, so that the bears can't get in them. So with that in mind, recognizing that bears go all over the place, and they do stay in certain areas, but they do migrate when babies leave the nest, you know, I'm asking Seminole County to consider, when they're looking at their budget, to see if they could pare away $100,000, $50,000, whatever the $1,000 is, and start a fund within our own county that would buy more of these trash cans, or donate money to the Bear Warriors for the people who sit down and put together the bear straps. They have these wonderful little functions where they get together and they build the bear straps, and then Katrina's group takes and delivers them. This is all done out of the Bear Warriors' pocket. This is also a community getting together. I'm thinking about even the opportunity for Seminole County to host bear strap conventions, if you will, and let people make bear straps. I mean, they're cheap. It's a good way to get community involved and get community to be able to pay attention and recognize in their areas this is what they can do and they can afford it. The other thing that I would like you to consider is that when we continue to go forward and we're looking at developments, and I had spoken with some of the staff, and I had spoken with Nicole earlier, and they are looking at putting together a map, well, they are putting together the map that shows where we have development now and how we're going to develop. When we look in the areas where we see on this presentation of where we're starting to see more bears, or where we know we have bears, this is a time to start looking at where we can figure out how we can put those corridors in there, potentially encourage maybe some space within these developments to be plant friendly for the bears, or find mechanisms within our own Seminole County where we can put together programs to buy the plants that the bears would eat the fruits from and whatnot, and plant them in areas where we already have our parks, which could keep our bears in the parks and in the areas where they need to be and out of people's neighborhoods and property and off the roads. So just a thought, I think that's the simplest one, is to get people to participate in growing plants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon. Is there any further questions or discussion? Commissioner Lockhart?
Well, I would just love the folks from FWC, if there is anything that you heard in any of that public comment that you would, hear here to, that we need to pay extra special attention to, or give us some guidance as the experts in the room.
Yeah, so there's a handful of things in that were, good advice, trying to, so I think your ordinance already lays out some of the things that they were requesting. I know that new developments are supposed to be adhering to the ordinances when they are being developed. Certainly, FWC actually does the strap festival thing, so we do those as well, and I know Katrina's group is doing them. So for places that don't have the structure as some of the parts where they get these the regular garbage cans issued to them, those straps actually are pretty effective. Now, from FWC's point of view, bear-resistant cans are what we want everybody to have. But if there's somewhere in between, the straps actually do work pretty well. And like I said, I know that they do strap sort of pop-up booths and things like that. We do that as well. I think, how many did we do? We did a lot last year. So we did 308 in just a single event just recently. So they are good suggestions. I think anything that moves us forward to, keep bears and humans away from each other, certainly by securing attractants, is a good plan. The one thing I will correct Katrina on is that the officer that put the bear down for us, the Lake County officer, actually euthanized it on the spot, and it died immediately. And it was a pretty bad injury as well. So sorry, Katrina, but that's I wanted to clarify it. So, when we ask other sworn officers to put bears down, we're on the phone with them usually, and we're asking them to euthanize that animal right away, so they don't have to wait for myself or Morgan to show up 45 minutes later. And so we thank Lake County for doing that for us. But
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
If I can just say, I am just as passionate as anyone when it comes to, this issue. And it's important that we recognize that this is not just protecting the bears, which we have moved into their territory, not them into ours, but that we're also protecting life and limb of the folks that live there, as well as their pets, as well as the children and the property. And I am proud of what Seminole County has done, and I continue to press and Mr. Orlando and our own staff if what more we can do. Today we've recognized the PSA that Commissioner Delory mentioned. One of the things that I was getting for a long time and haven't gotten the last couple of months is a bear can report. And I will at the end of every month, and I will tell you that in our west side, I have not seen one from the east side, but in our west side that Commissioner Herr and I represent, we all represent, but that's our districts, there is a large percentage of cans wanted as opposed to cans that we have. And so I continue to press the county manager to look for ideas, alternatives, additional funding, as well as things that we could quite possibly do. We have talked to Katrina in the past, Ms. Shaddix in the past, about those straps and what we could do, as well as the signs. So, there has not been a county that has responded stronger than this, and we are open to possible suggestions and alternatives, and anything that folks come up, I'm gladly listen to and quite possibly, if we can, incorporate into our plans. So thank you very much, Mike. Keep up the good work, and let us know if you see other opportunities that we have, as well as county manager, the same. Whatever we can do, we want to get those cans out there. We want to get the education out there. We want to get clearly the coexistence that is so important, and clearly the right kind of growth that will protect all.
Right, and I would encourage you that when you get those suggestions, like I said, the straps actually are something that we do as well. You guys all probably have my phone number. Please give me a call. Morgan, of course, is on speed dial for some folks too. But if you guys get some suggestions, you want to run them by us, we'll be happy to talk it over before they get implemented. I think that would be a good plan.
Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate it.
She got one question.
I do.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Please, go ahead.
So, for another conversation, another time, bears are adorable and everyone loves them and they're warm and fuzzy. What people are not loving a whole lot right now are coyotes in our community. And they're scary, and they eat little things a lot, little critters. So I'm seeing a lot of traffic, again, social media. How can we take care of them? And you and I have talked about that, and really, you can't eradicate them, and I get it. But if we could start to incorporate some coyote education along with the bear education, I think that would be great, because while the bears seem to be in some more rural type areas, the coyotes are, living in the Walmart parking lot.
Right, and it is, it is an issue, and in fact, we've started, when I do our training for law enforcement, it used to be called the bear response training, and then we would train officers when they show up and there's a bear in somebody's yard, they could use paintball guns or beanbag rounds, less lethal, to haze them out. We've actually incorporated coyotes into that conversation now, and panthers for that matter, but we don't have to, thankfully yet, or worry about them up here. But so you're absolutely right, and we have some subject matter experts in our agency who would probably want to come down and talk if you guys invite them about coyotes, and we certainly could add coyotes into the mix when we're discussing general wildlife interactions.
I've noticed that a lot of people are going and doing their own homework about how you can eradicate coyotes and sharing it in neighborhood Facebook groups, and sometimes they get your information and sometimes they don't.
Right.
And everything from, well, if it's on your property, shoot it, to, all sorts of different things.
Yeah,
So-
and some of those things can be dangerous. So, if you're putting certainly something like poison, not only is it illegal, but you could kill your neighbors' dogs and cats and children. So, we generally have some advice on how to do things like that. It all starts with attractants. I mean, it's not a huge surprise. I've been talking to you guys about bears for a really long time. It's about the attractants. And if there are attractants for bears and there are attractants for coyotes, you're going to have those animals in your close proximity of your yard. So, but yes, we can certainly try to help out in the future with different conversation, different.
Yes. We'll consider them invited. We have to figure out how to attack that as well.
Excellent.
Mike,
Well done.
yeah, one of the things that we did when we first started working on this bear ordinance was that you had a model ordinance for bears. Do you have one similar for coyotes?
I don't know. I will ask our subject matter expert. I know that the St. Pete, Tampa area has been dealing with coyote issues for quite some time. But I can find that out.
Between you and our attorney, let's take a look and see if there is
Excellent.
one, okay?
Sure.
I think that this commission is one that would be very interested in doing whatever we could to protect both people, pets, children, and wildlife.
Yeah, that's great. And just one final thing, you're absolutely right. While I get up here and I talk about the bear aspect of things, we have noticed, we actually did a survey, and we have noticed that the quality of life of people in the Seminole County area and where the ordinances are has increased overall, because when they don't have a bear in their backyard, they feel like they could go outside and their children could go outside. So it's sort of an unofficial survey, but that is the number one thing, is people believe that they're more free to do what they want in their backyards without worrying about bears creeping around. And it's mostly just because they learn to keep up their garbage. It's as simple as that. So, thank you.
We've also had the opposite, where people were upset that they don't have bears in their backyard to
Yeah.
take pictures of anymore.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, we deal with that quite a bit too, but that's a good thing on our end. So.
Yes. Commissioner Hurt?
I just want, oh, no, that's okay.
Okay.
I want to put a little more firmness around our request of staff. So from my perspective, fronting the money to create a supply of bear-proof cans and then charging full price for them seems to be a fantastic community service. So I would like us to explore whether or not we can do that. If there's a shortage of them, which I'm hearing there's a shortage of them, or it's difficult to get them because you can't buy them one at a time, then
Yes. So they're available for sale. They're just
Retail.
not in a for retail exactly. They're just not available here in like a place you could go buy one, pick it up.
People would like them subsidized.
I get that people want them subsidized. I will tell you, speaking for my district, I don't think they're all looking for them subsidized.
No.
But getting one is not how you would think it would happen. So if we need education around that, that's fine, but I think that is an item that we need to bring back.
The idea of subsidizing them was because we could collectively get them all in a neighborhood at one time. And
Right.
Mike will tell you that if you get everybody to do it,
Yes.
it's a whole lot better than one person at a time doing it. But we encourage people to get the cans.
Right. And you guys are going on long enough that some of those cans are breaking down.
Yes.
I mean, it's a garbage can. And so some of the people are actually just trying to replace the can that they have.
Exactly.
And they're finding it difficult to actually just find a replacement.
And the other thing I wanted to make sure of, and Rebecca, you can just shake your head, is that in the bear awareness area, the ordinance area, we are requiring every one of the new developments to have bear cans as part of their well, I think that was in the ordinance, was it not? No? Well, maybe it should.
For the record, Rebecca Hammock, Development Services Director. So there is a requirement either to have the bear-proof trash cans or have the cans secured. So you don't necessarily have to have the can itself, but it does have to be secured in a way that, hopefully prevents the bears from breaking into the can.
Thank you. Commissioner Delory?
Thank you. Michael?
Yeah.
And about a year or so ago, I met with one of your staff members or with the FWC regarding coyotes. And the takeaway that I had is that if you're implementing the bear ordinance, it's basically the same as implementing a coyote ordinance because you're securing trash.
It's not only trash, but there are other things. I mean, coyotes do eat cats, obviously.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
it's almost one and the same.
It's similar, very similar, almost nearly the same, yes.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shih Tzus,
Excuse me?
poodles.
Bunnies.
I think it's different. I do think, as a pet owner, I think it's different, and there's got to be an awareness.
The
change.
emotional aspect
It's
is
huge.
different. That's when I say it's similar.
It's huge.
So if your garbage can is being attacked by a bear, it's different than if your cat's being attacked by a coyote, for sure. I do not want to mix those two things up, so.
Listen, I'm the person that lets the dogs out at night and stands in the yard looking bigger than I am with a pot and a spoon.
That's excellent.
Personal pets
Excellent.
are the attractant for them.
I mean, they do get into garbage and things like that, and certainly if there's, dog food, cat food available, that will bring them closer. And then if you're leaving dog food, cat food outside, that usually means you have a cat outside, and then that just becomes part of the attractant as well, so.
I said they're similar.
Similar, yes. Yeah.
And one of the things that obviously we found out in the county is there are pockets of bears. I don't think there's pockets of coyotes. I think the coyotes are everywhere.
Right, well, a male black bear has a 60 square mile home range, so his pocket is enormous compared to the size of a home range for, coyotes.
No,
So-
I understand that,
Yeah.
but they don't like to go beyond I-4 very often.
Right, exactly right, yes, yes.
The bears. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Again, enlightening. We really appreciate you being here, and we look forward to your presentation every year.
All
So
right.
thank you
Will
very
do.
much.
Thank you.
Especially when it's even better news each year. Thank you very much. Okay, we are going to go into public participation, and pursuant to Florida law, the public has the right to be heard on all propositions except when the Board of County Commissioners is acting on a ministerial or emergency matters or conducting a meeting exempt from Section 286.011 Florida statutes. Public comment time on the propositions shall be 3 minutes for individuals and 6 minutes for group presentations. The right to be heard during quasi-judicial hearings is governed by Florida law. The public will be provided the opportunity to be heard on non-agenda matters at the end of the meeting. Proper decorum will be observed, and we have the consent agenda. County Manager, do we have any changes in the agenda?
Yes, sir. We have item number 19 has been pulled by staff we need a little more work on that. And then you'll see that there was an addition of items number 27 and 28 at the end of the agenda. We would ask that you consider those as part of the consent agenda.
Thank you very much. Does any of the commissioners wish to pull any of the items or discuss any of them? Commissioner Hurd.
Just for clarification, item number 15.
Number 15, anyone else? Seeing none, is there any, before we take a motion for the others, is there anybody? I have no cards, so I assume that nobody is in the public that wishes to speak on any items on the consent agenda. Is there anybody, James, in the virtual?
No, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner?
I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agendas item 5 through 21, omitting 15 and 19, and adding 27 and 28 as submitted here today.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. We are now on item 15.
Yes, this is just for clarification's sake, since this is not something that we typically do. This is a BAR for a total of $135 million plus. And the last sentence in the BAR is to authorize the county manager to approve future budget amendments within this allocation as necessary. Since that is such a significant dollar amount, I think we need clarification around what that enables you to do and what that doesn't enable you to do for your own protection and for ours.
County Manager?
I was looking to see if Lori wanted to answer that, but my understanding...
She doesn't.
Okay.
She doesn't.
So the intention there is not to allow a change in the allocations, as was approved by the board. But if there are amendments to the actual budget to effectuate what has been approved by the board in those allocations that were submitted in the plan that went to Treasury, it would allow the county manager to do that, to keep things moving, but not to change the intended spending pattern. Additionally, purchasing procedures will have to be followed as well for all of these.
Sure. And so does that also mean that as we move forward, because the documents as I see it with regard to these funds, there was a lot of wiggle room, right? If this, then that. There were a lot of if-then statements. That changes to what we believe is going to happen would come back before the board.
Absolutely.
Okay. With that, Chairman, I would move to approve.
There's a motion to approve item 15, seconded by Commissioner Delory. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. We are now on the irregular agenda, and...
Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 22 as presented here today for special event permit.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Under discussion, I just was going to say one of my favorite festivals of the year, and suggest that everybody come out, and thank God that we're being able to do this again. The Greek festival is really wonderful, and I would hope that everybody has the chance to get out there November 5th through the 7th. And I don't believe that, Ms. Robinson, you had any concerns of that. So with that, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? It's Opa. Okay, all in favor say, I will let you know.
Public comment before you vote, please.
Okay, and I will tell you that it's Father Constantine who is at that, so.
No wonder.
No relationship, but he's always nice to me. Yes, Nicole, County Manager.
I would just ask you to make sure there isn't any public comment before you vote.
Oh, I was getting there.
All right, I'm sorry.
I
thought you were getting ready to
mine was
call
part
for
of
it.
public comment, but that's okay. If it's not you, it's going to be the attorney.
I got yelled at last time.
You did not get yelled at. All right, is there any public comment? And we want to thank Miss Dr. Sophia Cordoba, who came and presented this, but with no public comment. Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, passes unanimously. We are now under the county manager and staff briefings and county attorney. County manager, do you have anything?
I have two brief items for you. The first item is one that you see every year. We have received a request from the tax collector's office for the board to authorize issuance of the tax roll in advance of completion of the value adjustment board hearings.
Okay. You need a motion for that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Request.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes. And now I'm going to read the rules on the public. Yes.
Chairman, I have one more item.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The other item deals with the Code Enforcement Lien Amnesty Program. As you'll recall, you approved this back in 2020. It started January 1 and was intended to end in July 1 of 2020. It was one of the items that you told as part of the local state of emergency. And we are requesting that you go ahead and formally extend the deadline for that to August 18th of 2022. That would take into account the tolling period as well as an additional 6 months.
Okay. That is item 26.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And we will get to that, but that's...
I thought we just did item 25.
I think we did.
I'm
I think
sorry.
you just did 25 and 26. I had, my bad. It just said county manager and
Oh, I'm
staff
sorry.
briefings, and I was
I
going, no, that's all right.
apologize. I'm
No,
sorry.
perfect. It's okay. I have to read the public rules of public hearing. And so what we're going to do is we need a motion to accept proof of publication.
Second.
So moved.
And second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Our staff will present each consideration. With staff recommendations, the board will have the opportunity to ask the questions of staff, and then when the presentations are finished, the applicant will have the opportunity to make a presentation. The board will have a chance to ask questions once the presenter is finished. Members of the public interested in speaking either for or against the project issue, please fill out the yellow speaker forms and located in the lobby indicating the item number, whether you are for or against, and place the form in the indicated tray in the lobby. Members of the public will only be allowed to give comment once per item. If you would like to have your comment submitted for the record, please fill out the green comment form located in the table in the lobby and place the form in the indicated tray. Speaker should state their name and address clearly for the record. Whether you are for or against an item, speakers will begin 3 minutes unless their official spokesperson, which they will be given 6 minutes. If the board member has questions regarding the speaker's comments, an opportunity will be given. Once the speaker's time has expired, speakers should limit their comments to pertinent information regarding the items under discussion, keeping your comments brief. The clerk's office is required to retain any documents, photographs, drawings, et cetera, that are presented to the Board of County Commissioners. So if you show it to us, please be prepared to leave it with us. Once all speakers are heard, the applicant will have the opportunity for rebuttal. If necessary, we will close the public hearing and put the matter at hand to the commission for discussion recommendations. Following a motion and second, there will be a board discussion and a vote will be taken. The commissioners who do not cast objecting votes are considered to have voted for the motion. And with all of that, I believe that there has been a request for Palmetto Point rezoning to be postponed to a time certain of October 26th. Is that correct?
Yes, good afternoon. Joy Giles, Senior Planner for the Planning and Development Division. The applicant is actually asking for it to be postponed to the November 9th BCC meeting.
November 9th. Was there any reason given?
I believe Public Works will be bringing the right-of-way map for Sipes Avenue and Pine Way to the board in October, so the applicant would like to wait until after that comes to the board.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a discussion or debate or a motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to, you said November 9th, Joy?
Yes, sir.
November 9th in the afternoon for the public hearing.
Second.
To continue it.
Motion and second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Mr. Chairman, can we hear from the public?
On the continuance.
On the continuance,
Yep.
yes. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak on the continuance?
On the continuance.
Okay, come on up, sir. Did not have a yellow card, so please forgive me. There it is.
Thank you. I'm John Spolsky, 1425 East Airport Boulevard.
Good to have you, John.
Pardon me?
Good to have you here.
Thank you. My reason for speaking is the fact that this continuance was brought up at the very last minute. This came before P&Z in June. It got continued into August, and now was on scheduled for today, and now it's going to be continued now to November. I understand the need for continuances at times, but what I don't agree with is an applicant to be given the opportunity to wait until the very last moment to ask for a continuance when people who could be affected by it in the area, who have jobs, as far as obviously this hearing being conducted during normal working hours, people who have children that they have to have picked up from school or whatever who would like to attend, and to make all those type of provisions, and then the day before it's set to come up for hearing, then all of a sudden, out of the blue, to ask for a continuance, I think is wrong. I think that it should be a minimum of 2 weeks prior to when a hearing is scheduled as far as to ask for a continuance. And then above and beyond that, this particular case has to do with traffic impacting neighbors in the area. So when you sit there and different municipalities have 300 feet or 500 feet or whatever, that they're going to notify the people around that area, the impact could be much greater than a house that's only 300 to 500 feet away, depending on where your measurement point is from. So it's a multi-pronged thing, I guess, that you could say that I'm asking for is when it's apparent that a development can affect numerous people much further than beyond where they're getting their mail-outs at. And when a group, as far as homeowners and whatever, homeowners associations, what have you, formulates a band of people together to come attend these things, and then at the very last second, all of a sudden, it's shelved, I think is wrong. I think it's inconsiderate. I think it's unprofessional. I think there should be a minimum of 2 weeks that is required for an extension before it is granted. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is there any questions? Commissioner Hurd.
No, but I'll own it. So I will say that it would be exceptionally difficult to do that because I can't be briefed 2 weeks ahead of time. There is information that came up I will own it, my briefing, if it didn't come up in anyone else's, I have no idea. That would be exceptionally important for me to understand, I think for you all to understand, for the applicant to understand prior to it coming to the board. So I could have, I'm not saying I was because I have no idea, I could have been the cause of this. And the timing for 2 weeks is just, I can't get briefed 2 weeks ahead of time. So I'll raise my hand and say, if I was part of any discontent, I'll own that fact. But I think we'll come to a better decision as a result of being better informed.
I wanted to just say that I did talk to Mr. Spolsky yesterday to let him know, make sure that he knew about it, because I had numerous information and emails from him. And one of the things that I think that this commission has requested and has commented on before, as he just suggested, not necessarily the timing, but the fact that we want more than, I want a delay when people come in for it, and they need to have a legitimate reason for that. So and that's one of the reasons I asked Ms. Giles about what was the reason. Seemed that was legitimate. I will say that I believe that they asked for the request on Friday. I'm just asking for a confirmation. Is that correct? instead of yesterday. They asked it
Yes,
for
that is
Friday.
correct, late Friday afternoon.
Okay, but I only heard about it Monday. I don't know about anybody else. But of course, late Friday, you know, you don't expect everybody to be calling them up. But, you know, I think we're all sympathetic to your plight, Mr. Spolsky, and that's one of the reasons I called you yesterday, to let you know, because you have called me or emailed me. So I think we want to continue to endeavor to make this as you know, as infrequent as possible, and that when they do ask for delays, it's not because they're looking for an edge, but because it's a legitimate reason. Okay. With that, Commissioner Lockhart, we have a motion and
Right.
a further discussion.
Well, so the legitimate reason is what this board determines to be legitimate? Or is it something that we've outlined somewhere? I mean,
Well-
who's determining legitimacy? I'm just curious, because we've used that word a couple of times.
I don't know if
So
go ahead.
It is the board. You do have a policy on continuances, and applicants do have the ability, with at least 48 hours' notice prior to the meeting, to request a continuance. They can request up to 2 of them. Your policy simply says with justification, because every circumstance may be different. The policy does say that continuances are not automatically granted. So it really is at the discretion of the board, which is why you vote on the continuance. But it does require justification, which is a change that you made, and it does require 48 hours. I think before it was 24 hours.
So far, the applicant has been consistent with what our current policy is?
Yes.
Okay. Whether or not that policy should change is up for discussion, apparently, but what's currently happening is within the bounds.
Yes, and I don't have any problem with the current one. I'm just saying that I asked Ms. Giles, because I did not hear a reason until, you know, publicly.
One of the reasons I heard was that we are not a full board, and the district commissioner is not here today. So that was another reason that I had heard might be a reason why they may want to delay. And I think that, I don't know if I'm the only person that was told that or not, but I mean, that might be the elephant in the room.
They gave 2 reasons in their request. 1, the district commissioner wasn't here, and 2, that we needed more clarity on the right-of-way issue.
Okay.
And the right-of-way, my briefing was Friday afternoon.
Yeah. So, you know, again, for the record, I asked Ms. Giles what the reason was, because I never saw any piece of paper or anything about the reason, and I accepted the reason that she gave, which made sense that they wanted to do it after there was a study with the Public Works. Mr. Spolsky, however, remember, we are talking about November 9th, and they are, you know, they've had the one. They can ask for a second one. I cannot answer whether they will or not if this motion passes. Okay? With that, we have a motion in front of us to allow to time certain this Palmetto Point. So is there any further debate or discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Can I ask for a clarification from the county attorney? Well, for ex parte, for continuances,
You can hold it until,
until the,
yeah,
okay,
as long as you do it at the end.
got it, thank you.
And on number 24, County Manager, I believe that you have a request.
We do have, I don't know if, I don't want to step off my spot as I did before, so I apologize for that. The staff is requesting a continuance of this particular item until the first meeting in October.
And that would be, what date would that be? Does anybody have that off the top of their head?
October 12th.
Thank you very much. So there is a request to continue until October 12th.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to continue this item to October 12th as requested by the county staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there anyone in the audience, because I'm not going to make that mistake again as far as I don't have any yellow pay, but is there anybody in the audience that has any comment, public comment on this? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We have gone through number 25. For the record, do we have to do that again simply because I hadn't read the, okay, good.
I am so
Okay.
sorry for that.
No, that's perfectly all
I
right.
was
Didn't
so
want-
excited.
You were on a roll,
I was-
County Manager, and I wasn't going to stop you, okay? But now we are on the extended lien amnesty and request for the code enforcement violations until April 18th. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
No, sir.
Okay, is there discussion? Does anybody want to make a motion on that?
Chairman, make a motion to extend the lien amnesty, which violation to April 18th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, is there public comment? Any public comment? We have a motion in front of us. Seeing none on that, close public comment. James, no, we're not going to close public. James, is there anybody in cyberspace?
No, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, there is, but no one.
Not on this, I understand. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes unanimously. We are now on Ms. Johnson, review of BCC's 21-22 priorities and discussion. I think we discussed already that we would allow for the next meeting for their approval, so that we could have comment back from members as well as wait for the FAC and other meetings that are coming up. But this is for your presentation.
Yes, thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, Tricia Johnson, Deputy County Manager. It's great to join you once again to discuss our priorities as we move into the 2022 legislative session. Before we begin, the lay of the land for session this year will be the same as last. The Senate, on the Senate side, Wilton Simpson will be Senate President for a second term, representing Citrus, Hernando, and parts of Pasco counties. On the House side, we have Speaker Chris Sprouse, representing Clearwater, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs, and northern Pinellas counties. Our legislative delegation remains the same, with Representative Scott Plakin in his last year as our District 29 representative, as well as Representatives David Smith, Joy Goff-Marcel, and Senator Jason Broder. The first committee week of 6 begins next week on the 20th, with regular session commencing on January 11th and concluding 60 days later on March 11th. The annual legislative delegation meeting is in a few weeks on September 29th. It will be hosted here in the BCC chambers as usual at 9 a.m. Chairman Constantine will be speaking on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners. However, this has been sent to all of your calendars in the event you would like to attend. Of course, a question that we're all asking this year is, what will Tallahassee look like? Last year, you recall, it was pretty locked down due to the pandemic. And although formal policies have not yet been enacted, from speaking with members of our delegation, it's my understanding that the House and Senate will be pretty open to visitors as we move into session. As you know, state and federal redistricting will take center stage this session, and due to the truncated timeline, the community meetings that are typically held statewide for state and federal redistricting will not be held. So the senators and representatives would like to be more available to their constituents, so they may visit with them and talk to them about both redistricting and other issues that may be of concern to them. Let me just be clear for the record, the community meetings I refer to are only for the federal and state redistricting. The county will be hosting 2 community meetings later this month with respect to county redistricting. Based on your individual feedback and that of our lobbyists, today I'd like to review our draft legislative priorities and, as Chairman Constantine stated, get your feedback, comments, and then bring back to you a final plan on September 28th for your review and approval. Some of these will look familiar to you as they have been part of our key priorities over previous years, and as in previous years, some of these are more defensive than offensive. A fundamental priority of ours remains home rule. Hundreds of bills will develop this session with proposed preemptions that restrict local government's ability to focus on zoning or permitting or conservation efforts. So protection of home rule is a key component of our legislative priorities. Also making a reappearance this year is our support of broadband funding efforts for construction and mapping, particularly in the rural areas. This will also be included in our federal legislative priorities as well. Many of you have expressed a desire to highlight support of ongoing regional efforts to improve Lake Jessup. This is also a priority of Senator Jason Broders, who will once again be chairman of the Environment and Natural Resources Committee. So he is in agreement that this should be a top priority for Seminole County. Additionally, we continue to advocate for funding for support of conversion of septic systems to central sewer systems. This year, beyond just Lake Jessup, protection of water resources was highlighted by many of you. So I have written a couple of priorities there related to water resource protection, a little long, so we could always pare that down a bit if you like. And finally, in line with our affordable and attainable housing initiatives, protection of the Sadowski Housing Trust Fund remains a high priority for this board as well. This is a list of things that we will monitor throughout session. Eventually, we may support or oppose some of these initiatives. It will depend on how legislation is written and how it impacts this county and our citizens. So I, along with our lobbying team and Melissa Hernandez in the county attorney's office, will continue to monitor these and other efforts so this list could grow throughout session. It always does. Before I move on to our appropriations requests, I do have one other item, but can I answer any questions or get your feedback related to the priorities I have covered thus far?
Any comments or feedback to Ms. Johnson on this? Commissioner Hurd?
So under broadband, support increasing public funds for construction and mapping of broadband infrastructure, specifically in underserved and rural.
We can add underserved if you would like.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then with regard to affordable housing, the Sadowski Fund is one thing, but we probably need to put something in here around homelessness and addressing funding to mitigate homelessness in some form or fashion.
They are connected.
They are absolutely connected. They are absolutely connected, but they're opposite ends of the spectrum, right? And then my last comment in the for what it's worth category, truly for the for what it's worth category is, should we be thinking about mental health and the opioid crisis in this discussion? Because we're not, but it's a big priority for our county.
We can certainly add something in with respect to that. I also know that the Sheriff's Office will be applying for another appropriations request related to the Hope and Healing Center.
Did you want to go ahead?
Well, I was just going to say, maybe lending our support toward whatever the sheriff is requesting could be our helpfulness in that realm. I'm not sure. I know for the many times that I have been in Tallahassee or not in Tallahassee and talked to legislators, can you keep it to 3? Because I mean, the attention span and we just, not anything against our legislators, but the fewer the better, so make them really important and impactful. And so sometimes we all get to this point where everybody has a priority, and once the priority list becomes 15 things, well, that's not really a priority list anymore.
Right.
So very important, but maybe lending our support would be helpful. I don't know.
Sure, absolutely. We've done that previously. We do have at the last bullet supporting the legislative priorities of community and regional partners, and I can broaden that to include, and certainly the Sheriff's Office is a partner, but maybe broaden it into the opioid realm as well.
Just a couple of things I have, okay, one is on the broadband. We know that there are public utilities that are supposed to provide broadband, but they don't because it's not, financially as lucrative as normal. But I don't want us to just put in, that we just want public funding. So I think that there needs to be in the legislation that the utilities that are supposed to provide that should be doing that. So it's more of a broad concept of, yes, we, in those underserved areas, we need more public funding, but we need them to go out and provide the service that they are to service. And then the last thing that I would put in here is that we have to, I think very important to our delegation is that we will oppose strenuously anything that would harm and/or endanger our rural boundary. I think that goes without saying. We all know that. But presenting this to the delegation, some of them have voted for things that would harm our rural boundary before. So I want to make sure that they know that we would fight vigorously against anything like that. Is there anything else, Commissioner?
Well, it's a potential hot potato, but I guess I'm good with those.
You're good with
I'm
those,
good at
yeah.
those. So we have talked in the realm of charter review about oversight of constitutional officers. But in conversations I have had with some other folks, it sounds like perhaps working maybe in tandem paths to try and have our legislature look at revising some laws related to oversight to constitutional officers might be an appropriate thing for us to champion. And the county attorney is either getting ready to chime in or tell me to stop talking. I'm not sure which.
Well, if I could say, one of the reasons we're having that, that work session is to see if we can find ways to do it without, in our county, without going to the legislature. Because I can tell you, those associations, statewide, constitutional associations, will vigorously oppose anything and use it to say that it's just Seminole County that has the problem. So we are going to be looking at that, and if there is, just to appease, put your
Appease
mind
me?
put
That's
your
what you
mind
were
at ease.
about
No,
to
what I was going to
say.
say, put your mind at ease. That's what I was going to say. If we can't find something, then I think that I would be one that would also agree with you that we have to go find a legislative remedy.
Okay. I do feel like any state organization that tries to say that any law that would give more oversight or more transparency, I'd love to see them try and, champion that. I don't know how that
But
passes.
they will with other reasons. I can promise you that. They already are.
What do you think?
Okay, well, yeah. I spent the better part of my career on charter issues. I also point out that over the last few years, Seminole County has won 2 landmark decisions on your authority related to major issues. As far as charter issues, I'd like to wait until the work session. I just think it would be best to have that discussion.
When is that?
But I can, if you have a specific question, I'll be happy to.
Well, I would just like to know if there is a legislative remedy, what that might be, so that we don't get through the whole charter review process and determine, oh, no, that's not going to be the right solution for us, and now we're not prepared to tackle it legislatively.
Right. I've talked to Tricia about some suggestions, and I know that, there's one I'm currently working on.
Okay.
And I want to hold off discussing that. I do plan to brief all of you. In fact, you notice I left the meeting this morning. I will be briefing each of you today after this meeting on that. So, but I can tell you that on many of these issues I can answer off the top of my head.
Okay. All right.
Since we're on the subject, County Manager, when was the date of that work session that we were setting up for the charter? I know it's coming up.
I think it's October 12th.
So we have time.
Okay.
Well, but one thing I want each of the members to consider is getting to the attorney and/or the county manager about issues that you want to discuss so that they can at least do their research prior to, like Commissioner Lockhart was just suggesting.
And Tricia and I have been already discussing and working on some of these things. So.
Good. Tricia, you did say you had something else.
Well, actually, that was it, so thank you very much, Commissioner, for addressing that. Mr. Applegate and I spoke earlier today about ensuring that it was covered at the appropriate time to address questions. But I do want to follow up with our recommended appropriation requests as well. Okay. So with respect to those requests, I have 3 recommendations that have come from our earlier discussions. As you know, we have 2 congressional earmarks related to the E.E. Williamson Road Trail Connect project and the Little Wekiva River Cleanup project. Little Wekiva River Restoration Project continues to move forward. That's about $600,000 that it's looking very positive that we will get that money as part of the process. However, unfortunately, the infrastructure package that the House voted on included earmarks. The Senate's package does not. They removed all earmarks, not specific to Seminole County or even the state of Florida, all earmarks nationally, and that package will be the one that Congress will be voting on entirely. So that $4.36 million earmark for the E.E. Williamson project no longer exists. So we will be funding it at this point out of sales tax dollars. So it is my recommendation that we submit this year a $1 million appropriations request for that project. It is much more than that, but every dollar helps, and infrastructure projects are very popular right now. And having spoken to members of our delegation, they do believe additional monies may be coming down the pike specific to infrastructure that we may be able to be considered for as well. Additionally, Acaldi and Fay, our federal lobbying team, is working to find other opportunities in other omnibus bills to resubmit the E.E. Williamson project. But at this point, I would like to recommend applying for one appropriations request related to that. The Little Wekiva project, like I said, most likely will be almost entirely fully funded by federal, state, and grant dollars, which is terrific. However, we have to maintain that project after it is restored. If we don't take care of it, we'll be back where we are now. So it has been discussed to apply for $500,000, and both of these would be matched through our sales tax dollars, which is something the legislature looks for, and that would be for maintenance of the Little Wekiva once the project concludes. The last request I have then is one that was brought forward last year by the Historical Society, and one of our delegation members requested that we as a county consider it because it relates to the Seminole County Museum. And this is the expansion of the Seminole County Museum to house the 32 buggies as part of the Bill Nygren buggy collection that you are all familiar with. This would be a $25,000 appropriations request for renovations and expansion work, drywall, painting, etc. I have a match there. It is my understanding from our delegation they typically expect a match. That may not be the case with this one, but either way, if a match is required, it would need to come out of the fundraising dollars that the Historical Society has raised for this project, rather than the other option, which would most likely be the general fund. So this is a third request that I brought to you for your consideration as well. And that concludes my report, and I can get your feedback now on these, or certainly have individual meetings leading up to the 28th as well.
Any further discussion or feedback, because we've already given you quite a bit, but on these are now 4 different requests, and that was something that Commissioner Herr, I'm talking about for funding.
3.
3, I'm sorry.
3, yes.
3 different requests, and I think that's what we have always traditionally tried to do, is keep it to 3.
Mm-hmm.
The others are very more of a broad nature. Many of them are broad in nature. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to comment on these? Remember, we're not voting on this. This is just something as feedback. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to the 28th. And did you have something?
I have a question.
Sure.
Did we get any feedback from either of our lobbyists about the 3 funding requests?
The number of them, or each of their feedback?
Each of them individually.
I know the Little Wekiva will have 2 sponsors immediately. It's very popular. The infrastructure projects, I don't see an issue based on our conversations. I can't speak to the renovation request at this point. I have inquired, but that was just yesterday, so I don't have feedback yet. But I will look to the Historical Society to help with that effort, because our lobbyists will really focus on our large requests, and so I will ask them to help, if we were to submit that request, help talk to members of our delegation to get their support as well. No, they had a sponsor in the Senate last year and not in the House.
And was that vetoed?
It didn't move anywhere because they didn't have a sponsor in the House, so it
I
did not
understand.
make,
Thank you
yes,
for
it
saying
didn't
that.
move forward.
Okay.
So, and it was a member of the House side of our delegation that recommended they bring it to the county this year because of that.
Commissioner Hurd?
So, strategy question. 1,500,000 and 25,000, and we limit our request to 3. Are we wasting a slot for a $25,000 request?
100%.
I wasn't asking you, but
Oh,
yes.
that's my opinion.
So I bring forward the appropriations requests that are brought to me and that I receive feedback from this board. And this was the feedback I received. We can certainly look at a third, but there were a couple individuals who wanted this one brought forward, so that's why it's part of the list.
Commissioner Hurd, there's no rule that says we only
not a
provide
rule.
3
Exactly.
or 4 or 5 or 10. It's just it was a strategy.
Well, and I find that strategy to be particularly valid because, the long laundry list probably gets completely ignored. It would seem to me that if we found another appropriations request that was in the $1 million range, that they would have a backup to the 2 that we're offering, and that we figure out the buggy request somewhere else, right? We're a pretty big county, $25,000. If the match is coming from fundraising and the Historical Society, we could consider matching that out of general funds, but I'd rather go for a bigger one on this, my take.
So my recommendation, since we are going to discuss this further on the 28th, is to come up with a third request, a larger request, get our lobbyist feedback on all 3 definitively, and then we'll have a little more information. And to Chairman Constantine's point, we could submit 4. We don't want to look greedy. That's why we always stick. Last year, we only did 2 because of the budget. It is my understanding that we're going to have a very positive budget year. And as federal dollars continue to flow, the thought is that those dollars will stop after probably another year. So we want to take advantage of that now. So submitting a 4th is not an issue. But, and Mr. Dredge and I have talked, there are certainly other infrastructure projects we can come up with without a problem. And, but I would say in terms of the buggy renovation project, let me get some more feedback, and that will help us strategize.
So I don't in any way want the folks of the Historical Society to think that that project is not a worthy project. I just think that for a county of our size and with our means to go to the legislature with our handout for $25,000 looks kind of cheesy.
Sure.
That's my official word, cheesy.
I think, excuse me, sir, for interrupting. I think an important question will be, what will our success rate be with a project of this nature? Because I know historical projects usually are lower priority. So maybe we need to consider our success rate. And if our delegation thinks, hey, this could sail through because it's low, that's worthy of consideration then. Or they may say, this is more of a unique request and may not make it through the budget process.
If I can, go ahead.
I just have to say, I think we're going to spend more than $25,000 debating it and talking about it and getting it on here and paying the lobbyists to talk about it. So I think it's embarrassing. So that's my last comment.
Okay, so let me just put an old hat that I used to wear on and just let you know that many times we don't have to ask for any of this, okay? All we have to do is go to a senator or representative and say, hey, could you do this? It lends a little bit more of an attraction to them if the county commission has done it, but not necessarily that much more. I'm sure that many representatives especially like to find smaller things because then there's a success there in them. If they're asking for very little, that many times they get success. And we don't necessarily have to ask in our presentation, just ask on a informal level, which may be something that we might want to do, especially one of them that is a representative where the buggies came from. So, again, Commissioner Herr, you're right. Let's not debate this too much. We'll bring it back. I think you've gotten our feedback on this. And, one of the things we did in the past was to ask for funding in FWC's budget for bear cans. That was another, since you mentioned that today, and we were having that up today. But that's something that has almost become something that they do anyway. And so, the same thing would go for many of these other things. So I'm just, I guess I'm pointing out that we want to hit a soft spot with each one of them. And I think that we can do that without necessarily putting them in our priorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we go to the county attorney's report, I think all of you were aware of or heard of the debate that we had at the end of the commission meeting last week. We love to have citizens' participation, but we have asked on numerous occasions that people that have yellow forms, please bring them up. And the reason why I'm seeing that is I saw some people back there holding them again, because they were passing them back and forth. So if anybody has yellow forms, I'd like them now. And that will make our commissioners much happier, that we know that everybody isn't holding them and then going to surprise us at the end of the meeting. So if you know you want to speak, just bring the yellow forms up, and I greatly appreciate it. And with that, if we don't have them here when I go to public comment, I'm just going to be very disappointed in you. Okay. County Attorney, your report, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, I will be out this Thursday, Friday, and I was anticipating all of next week, but I will be briefing each of you at the conclusion of this meeting individually. That I probably will be coming back earlier than expected based on some issue that arose this morning, very positive, but I will have my phone on the entire time.
Okay.
So.
Thank you very much. Anything else, sir?
No.
County Manager, that was part of your, Ms. Johnson's update. Is there anything else that you have, sir? Yes. Thank you very much, ma'am. Anything for, I know that none was submitted for future items. Is there any future items that anyone wants to talk about right now? Okay, with that, we're going to go to public comment, and I see Ms. Wawa, Ms. Esposito, you were here, so you are first.
Hello, everyone. Wafa Esposito, 5040 Hawks Hammock Way. I didn't know you have to submit this also for this
You and I have talked about this before, but that's okay.
No, this is not on an agenda item.
I understand.
So you'd like to see that even at the beginning?
I would like you to put it if you know you're going to speak. If you know, and let's turn this off. If you know you're going to speak, I'm just asking everybody, because it was a point of contention with the commission last week that we felt that people were trying to play the system, if you will. I bet that's the best way. I'm not suggesting anybody was, but they just wanted a little bit of a tighter system. And so I am acquiescing to that and trying to do my very best to make sure that we're all, everybody out there and everybody up here.
He's the good guy, we're the bad
No,
guys.
No. I'm going to
Translation.
I'm going to explain it for the second time. My whole idea was bringing them on the agenda item to be last or bringing them late, and I'm going to earmark them. Is if I have something to add of a value, I would. Otherwise, we'll just, to save your time and to save me, to come here. Now,
and Ms. Wafa, what I'm going to do is,
yes,
if you ever submit it And I will say, if anybody just wants to waive their
Okay.
opportunity, they can do that. And I've done that before. So now we've come up with an agreement on that, okay?
That's a good point. Now, in the non-agenda item, I will also present it, but I might leave if things take forever to come to this point. So I hope that doesn't disappoint you. Now we have a system.
Now we have a system.
Okay, I would like to thank the Public Work Office, in particular, the engineers in charge of the Orange Boulevard. They have been very receptive. They invited us to a meeting, a last-minute one, but anyhow, I was sick that day. They made all the effort to invite us to a second one, myself and Mrs. Rodriguez. And their landscape architect company also was on board. We really appreciate all that. Now, my big question is the following. This whole project was set in place years ago before all the development. And back then, it was not of a value to FPL to actually put the lines underground. Since the county is doing all the work, is it worth it at a higher level, if you believe that that's something of an added value, to approach them and ask them, with the volume, would it be worth it for them to do such? This would help with the landscaping and would also actually quality of life for all the people along Orange Boulevard. It will be less work for them if we have a bad storm that rips the lines. I think it's a pass forward and worth just throwing that question. I'm just bringing it to your attention, and I feel like I've done my part. I've seen it done. In the past, in the last 10 years where I lived, where, if they were doing new roads and the volume would support it, FPL, well, back then it's not, where I lived wasn't FPL, but, they felt like they could do it. So, I don't know, I'm just bringing this to your attention and hope that would be looked at. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Esposito. I
Thank you.
appreciate it very much. Ms. Shaddix, you're up.
Ms. Esposito. Right down.
Let's see what she has. What the issue is.
Katrina Shaddix, Executive Director, Bear Warriors United, 1133 Covington Street, Oviedo, Florida, 32726. Commissioner Lockhart, that is it's actually the FWC's pamphlet, but I had to change a couple things. I wasn't allowed by the printer to make copies of the FWC pamphlet. I had to tweak a couple things so I wouldn't violate copyrights. But as you can see, they include coyotes on there. So they do have a great program, and so I'm glad you brought that up. And also about the coyotes. There's one good thing about coyotes that a lot of people love about them. They are eliminating the feral cat colonies. I love cats, but they are decreasing big time. Another thing, you brought up an ordinance for coyotes, and one thing that people do to kill the coyotes is they put snares out, and those strangulation snares are killing our cats and dogs and a lot of other things other than coyotes, so they're very dangerous. So possibly in that ordinance, would you be able to put prohibiting the use of snares? Because I have some pretty graphic pictures of a bear in Longwood that was caught in a coyote snare. He almost decapitated himself. He broke loose, ran out on Longwood, Markham Road, and got smashed by a car. So
That's why we asked the staff to put something to look
good.
at it. So we can
Okay,
look
great.
at all opportunities.
All right. Also about developers required to have bear-proof trash cans or secure trash cans. I can confirm they are not following through on that. I've received dozens, if not 100, requests from people in those new neighborhoods that for the houses that have been built since the ordinance came out, and they do not have bear-proof trash cans, nor are they secured. Possibly if that ordinance could be modified to just require that they provide bear-proof trash cans instead of the straps. I love providing the straps, but I would much rather have bear-proof trash cans for everyone and just have them require that because they're not following through with, they're given a choice and they're not even following through with the easier choice and the cheaper choice. Okay, yes, and I was wondering, I know you can't answer during public comment, but I sent an email earlier this week or last week about the 2022 Cycle 1 Florida Forever project proposals being due by October 31st, and I was wondering if the DEP program is something the county can take advantage of, and can the county apply for Florida Forever funding and submit project proposals. So I'm thinking it would be really nice to be able to offer money to landowners for their property to be put into conservation instead of landowners being financially squeezed to sell to developers. We have a lot of people that buy land and want to sell it to retire or give to their kids, and they're being forced to sell to developers. That's where a lot of this sprawl project is coming from, and they deserve a fair market price. And if we could do something to help, conserve land and give money to the landowners, I think that would make a lot of people happy. I was going to comment on habitat fragmentation and all this, but I'm tired, and that's all. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shaddix. I will tell you, it's not a comment. I just wanted to help or explain a little bit with the Florida Forever program.
Oh, yes.
That what happens is it's actual land projects that go to specific places. It's called an ARC. Mm-hmm. That group decides whether or not, that to put that piece of property on the list.
Okay.
And then if it's for a park, it goes to the Florida Communities Trust Program.
Mm-hmm.
So there is supposedly, it hasn't been done as well recently as we want, but there's supposedly a scientific method to that as to what is the most important and properties to purchase and put it on there. So they don't give the money to counties or cities per se, although cities and counties can suggest a piece of property to put on the thing. So that's available. And that's not a bad suggestion. In fact, I believe that we have done that in the past, including the property that we exchanged the money for Rolling Hills. So we have done that in the past, okay?
Okay, great.
And we will continue to look for opportunities to do that.
Okay, great. And I remember what I was going to say about the bears. The 5K that we're having, there was, when I brought up the point about the mother bear and the 3 bears being habituated and being killed, that actually had happened here in Seminole this year. And I didn't want to bring it up in front of the FWC because it's a huge source of contention between bear advocates in Wekiva and Sweetwater and the FWC. There was a bear named Gary, and never been in trouble before. He was befriended by an elderly man in Sweetwater Oaks that had lost his wife. He was a widow. The man put out peanuts in his yard for the squirrels, and Gary, ate a few, slept in his carport. The FWC trapped and killed Gary instead of relocating him, and that's how the 5K got started, because we knew we had to do something to get bear-proof trash cans to the majority of people. But the FWC does a great job, but they messed up on that one.
Thank you very much. And everybody, 5K for Katrina and the Bears on October 2nd. Okay. Mr. Hyde, and then Ms. Howler.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Bill Hyde. I live at 2379 Audley Street in Oviedo. I'm only going to take just like 1 minute because I know the Commissioner Delaria is already aware of this, but anytime I can lead the cheer for my American Legion post, I'm going to stand up here and do it. As you all know, this has been a big year and a tough year for a lot of American Legion posts, and we were honored several times, obviously, by being the #1 post in the state. But something else good is happening. This November marks 75 years for Oviedo Memorial, Post 243. We're having a little celebration and a dinner dance. I'm giving you a little advance notice. It's in November, but I'm going to be giving y'all a little jingle. I'm going to be giving you some information about it, and I hope that members of the community recognize that the Legion, has contributed so much, not just to Legion members, but throughout the community. We do blood drives. We just did the pet food things, and sometimes we need a little help. We don't put our hand out for government money, but maybe the community could kind of help us out with some sponsorships this year. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it. And as always, Commissioner DeLauria, I know you're going to take the great lead on this, and we always appreciate you guys taking care of us, all of you. Thank you very much.
What is the date again, Mr. Hyde? No, you said it was November.
November 6th.
November 6th.
Don't worry. You're getting it. Don't worry.
Okay.
I'm not shy.
Mr. Hyde, just real quickly, did your problem with the agenda work out? I saw that you emailed me the agenda problem that you had yesterday. Did that all work out?
IT folks, the agenda kept coming up blank. I don't know if somebody was updating it while I was trying to get online or changing and making a change, but every once in a while I go to click on it. Not that I read all your agendas or anything before I come in here.
Yes, you do.
I would hit the link and it would come up with a blank page. Finally, it came back, but I finally got the agenda.
Thank you. James, you hear that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Howard?
Hi, thanks. Cindy Holler, 1731 Beacon Drive, Sanford. A couple of different things I wanted to, I understood with the property rights element being continued, that there was public comment on the continuance, but what I wanted to say regards to the public rights element is that I support the model plan presented by 1,000 Friends of Family, in which organization I am a member of. It is developed by experts. It protects owners and other residents. So just wanted to put that on the board. And then I wasn't able to participate in this morning session. However, I understand that Land Development Code and specifically RMPs were discussed. So I'm supportive of RMPs in urban corridor. I think RMP as presented, from what I've heard, it needs a lot of work. It's kind of like excuse the saying, like a planned development on steroids. And then the last thing I want to say, that before the pandemic, there was supposed to be some community meetings about land development code and comprehensive update and everything. And of course, due to COVID, and I understand the COVID challenges, that was all scrapped and did not happen. But the process was supposed to be community-driven, and I believe there need to be work sessions, so would citizens be given a date to get that input regarding that. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haller. And I will let you know there was a number of discussions this morning about those residential neighborhood patterns, and this commission agreed that there is a lot of work that needs to be done on those as we move forward. Okay, we are now finished. Is there anyone else in the cyber, James, that public hearing for public?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, then I'm going to close public hearing and go into commission reports. And I believe that our first commission report is Commission District 5.
I'd like to thank the city of Sanford for hosting an amazing, truly amazing Patriot Day event with a speaker that was there at Ground Zero that day. And I do think they videoed it. I think they're going to post it. If you want to see something that will truly move your heart, I would encourage you to watch it. And with that, that concludes my report.
And the proclamation, you did present the proclamation at that day?
Was I supposed to do that?
I'm not even going to, I'm not biting on you anymore.
Yes, I
Yes.
presented the proclamation. That is why I was there. I think I did that.
Just wanted to point it out that you represented
right?
us.
Sure.
Pretty sure.
Okay. District 2,
He's not here.
District 4.
It's fun to be
There is
laughing.
nothing in our water, I assure you. We've just have the giggles today. We're
having a good day.
We're having a good day. So I want to ask something, clarification on behalf of our staff. I noticed we've got posters around the building asking that employees wear masks when they cannot socially distance and be 6 feet apart. And yet I see staff sitting definitely 6 feet apart and wearing masks. And some of them have expressed to me that, sitting in this room in particular all day long with glasses on and masks on is somewhat cumbersome. So I just want clarification, because I heard from another employee that they're expected to put them on anytime they leave their desk, which isn't reflected in the poster. So could you just give us clarification for everyone of what your expectation is?
So I think some of the posters are older posters that should have been taken down, so I'll get with Tricia on that. We are following the CDC guidance, which doesn't distinguish. It recommends the use of masks indoors by everybody, and there is no distinction for social distancing. So the policy has been if you stand up, if you're up and moving around, or you're going to be in proximity of other people who are moving around, you're to wear a mask.
Okay, and that is for all employees?
For all employees.
And is that, not having seen the governor's press conference yesterday, but was his fine related only to vaccines, or was it mask mandates as well?
So the legislation relates strictly to vaccine passports is what.
Okay. I want us to be keenly aware of the fine line that we are apparently drawing. Just want to be sure we're all clear. And I'll show you where the posters are.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Delory.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two quick things. My office is going to be sending out to each one of the board members the document that was produced by Metro Plan Orlando in February 2017, which was the OIA Orlando Airport refresh and Sunrail getting there. I want to make sure that everyone gets that. That way they understand what potential issues could be coming up. And that'll be sent out to everyone, hopefully by the end of today. The other thing is, this past Saturday, I was at the Tunnel to Tower 5K run in Altamont. I know that the mayor of Altamont, as well as our chairman, co-hosted, I believe. I want to congratulate them on that. What I really want to talk about is our fire department. The Tunnel to Tower represents the a couple of firefighters that were trapped in the Battery Tunnel, and they opted during 9/11 to get out of their vehicle and actually run through the Battery Tunnel to the tower. Most people don't realize that that tunnel is approximately 9,117 feet long, 1.72 miles long. It's the longest continuous underwater tunnel in the United States. It goes from Brooklyn to Manhattan. Also at the Tunnel to Tower 5K race that they had, I saw a number, and I couldn't tell you how many of them were, but they were both fire and police running with full gear. And I will tell you, I was amazed on how the firefighters could run in full bunker gear and still be able to do what they do. It's clearly inspirational to see our firefighters. I was talking to Chief Droz about it. He actually did it last year with full bunker gear. Many of our firefighters did it. They actually timed various groups. And our firefighters came in second place overall by 1 second.
Wow.
And this is full bunker gear. Truly, truly inspirational. And to see what firefighters have to go through and what they actually went through at 9/11 on that horrific day is mind-boggling. And it's a great way to honor those first responders that lost their lives and gave the ultimate, it was just amazing. So I just wanted to comment on that. And, that's it.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And I just want to, also say both, I was honored on September 10th to represent Seminole County at the Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association's September 11th program. It was numerous counties were represented. Our Sanford Police Department and our fire department had members that were both recognized there. At the Tunnel to Towers, as Commissioner, it was great to have Commissioner Delory there. And yes, our firefighters lost by 1 second, but they also won the participation award for having the most members that ran it. And another department that's in Seminole County, Altamont Springs, won the police run. So, and we were well represented in that event, and that was another great event that was put on, like the Patriots Day that Sanford put on. Tomorrow, I believe that Commissioner Lockhart and I are going to be in Groveland for a few hours with the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, and I guess we're both looking forward to the tour of the new Kroger Center and what they do there. I want to remind all of you that tomorrow night we have the budget board session, the first public hearing at 7 o'clock.
Nope.
So make sure.
6.
6 o'clock. Gosh, thank you. Thank you. I
don't mean to contradict.
No, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm just so used to 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock. And also want to remind all the commissioners that there is a FIFA World Cup site visit on Saturday at Sylvan Lake Park. So that for our purposes, so that if we can get the 2026 FIFA Cup, World Cup, that would be tremendous for all of Central Florida. That September 21st through the 23rd, there was the Florida Association of Counties meeting in Palm Beach, and I encourage all of you to attend if you can. But also on the 22nd, there's 1,000 Friends of Florida's Seminole 2070 that will be held up at the, I believe, right there, 5 Points. And I know that Gabby is one of the hosts, as well as the St. John's River Keepers, and many of you know that I'm on the board of directors of the 1,000 Friends of Florida, but it should be a great event. And also on September 18th and 19th, the biggest fundraiser for the zoo will be taking place, the Brews Around the Zoo. If you've never been there, it's a lot of fun, a great event. And that concludes my report as a district commissioner, and we've already talked about the charter work session, but also under the chairman's report, I do believe that Commissioner Delory has requested a proclamation recognizing September 2021 as Hunger Action Month to be presented to the Second Harvest Food Bank at the next meeting, and without objection, I will be happy to support that. And with that, and nothing else on the agenda, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.